If Karma wore a red blazer and carried a fake notary stamp, let me tell you, this would be her masterpiece. I'm about to spill the story of how a small-town HOA president tried to rob me of 800 acres me own family's land using nothing but forged papers, fake fees, and the kind of arrogance you only find in folks who believe rules don't apply to them. She thought she was hunting easy prey. Turns out, she set the most perfect trap for herself and I just watched her walk straight into it. Let's rewind. Tuesday afternoon, 2:47 p.m. Just another day in my office at First Heritage Bank in Austin. Name's Garrett Monroe. I'm a senior loan officer. Been at it for 12 years. I just stamped through a cattle ranch application for almost $500,000 when this envelope lands on my desk. Boring. Legal size. Heavy paper. Some law office out in Ridgewood, Texas. Never heard of the place, almost chucked it. But something about the way my name was typed. Too perfect. Made me slit it open. Best bad decision I ever made. Turns out, my grandfather, Harold Monroe, passed 14 months earlier. I'm his only heir. 800 acres of Texas dirt, untouched for generations. Now mine. For dollars. $2 million. If you believe the appraiser. I just sat there. The kind of stunned where your ears ring. My parents split when I was a kid, so dad's side faded out of my life. Except for those awkward Christmas cards nobody reads. Last time I even talked to my granddad was 3 years back. One quick call. His voice thin, telling me not to worry. He was keeping it safe for me. Promised I'd visit. Never did. The guilt of that? Heavy. But let's be honest. If you found out you just inherited land worth millions, would your first move be a tear or a Google search? Yeah. Same. My bank instincts kicked in. Faster than grief ever could. I ran the Ridgewood property address through our database. Expecting nothing. Maybe some ancient survey report. What popped up nearly made me drop my coffee. An active mortgage. $2. $8 million. Borrower, Harold Monroe. Only problem? The man had been dead 5 months before that loan was ever signed. I checked it 3 more times. Every time. Same thing, my signature. Neatly stamped on a loan I'd never seen. For land I'd just inherited. With a borrower who'd already gone to meet his maker. For a second, I wondered if I was losing my mind. But the deeper I dug, the colder my blood ran. See, our system requires 2-factor authentication biometrics. Employee ID. All that jazz. In theory, it's bulletproof. In reality, anyone with admin access could override it. I'd flagged this flaw twice before. Never thought someone would use it to hang me with my own rope. So there I was, me name on a forged loan. My career on the line. And $2. $8 million gone somewhere it didn't belong. And I realized, someone out there thought they were slick. Thought they could steal from a man who didn't even know he owned the land. They just had no idea the signature they faked belonged to the only person on earth who could catch them. That night, after work, I called the lawyer Howard Jennings who'd mailed the inheritance letter. He confirmed my grandfather left everything to me. No conditions. No debts. I told him about the mortgage. He got real quiet. Then admitted, sure, there was someone snooping around, a woman named Marjorie Whitfield, president of the local HOA. Showed up twice. Asking about the property. Said it was for community records. He wouldn't give her anything, but said she made his skin crawl. Right there. I knew this wasn't random. It was crafted. From the inside out. So Saturday, I drove 4 hours out to Ridgewood, sleepy. Dusty. Every face is strangers. The HOA office sat behind a fake wood sign, Rural Community Association. The front desk was ruled by a woman whose hair looked like it cost more than her car. Dressed in a red blazer you'd expect at a bank. Not a farming town. She introduced herself, Marjorie Whitfield. 8 years of service as president. Smiled like we were old friends. But behind her eyes, you could see the gears turning. I said I was there to talk about my grandfather's land. She regretted my loss. Then led me into a maze of lawyers speak. Apparently, my grandfather had grown too frail to manage the land. Signed power of attorney to the HOA. All neat and notarized. She slid over a photocopy with his signature at the bottom. I asked to see the original. She said, "Oh, sorry. Those are kept in secure storage. As a non-resident, I wasn't allowed. She tried to drown me in procedure. Probate takes 2 years. Management stays with the HOA. Unpaid fees had ballooned to $147,000. She suggested cooperation. Smiled the whole time, like she was reading a bedtime story. I pushed back. What about the mortgage? Her eyes flickered, just for a split second. Not aware of any mortgage issues. She said, maybe check with your bank. She never missed a beat. It was rehearsed, ironed flat, delivered like gospel. But underneath, I could smell the rot. Back in Austin, I did what desperate people do: called the FBI. Googled how to prove a forged signature. Got nowhere. Then I remembered what I actually am: a loan officer. Any mortgage over $500,000 requires independent verification from 4 separate sources: title, appraisal, history, borrower ID, all supposedly airtight. So how did this one get through? I dug in. The title company on the docs didn't exist. The appraiser, Robert Finch, had lost his license years earlier for fraud. The property address listed was the HOA office. My signature time-stamped at a moment when I was under sedation at a doctor's appointment. Whoever did this knew the exact holes in our system, and the perfect moment to exploit them. The deeper I got, the clearer the shape of the scam. But here's the twist: Marjorie didn't have access to my bank's back end. Somebody inside the bank helped her. The override that pushed the loan through came from my direct supervisor, Linda Matt, my boss for 8 years, the woman who'd championed my promotions. Suddenly, I saw how deep the rabbit hole went. I took everything to Russell, our compliance guy. Solid. By the book. No appetite for risk. He confirmed it all. The fraud flags were tripped. Overridden by Linda. Russell looked at me like he wanted to throw up. You have to be careful, he said. Linda's got friends everywhere. Next thing I know, I get a reassignment email: back office duty. No explanation. A few hours later, a letter from the HOA arrives at home. Pay $147,000 or the property gets foreclosed. 2 attacks. One from inside, one outside. Perfectly timed. They thought I'd fold. But when you've got nothing left to lose, you fight. I started piecing together the chain. Fake title company. Bogus appraiser. The power of attorney. That was the keystone. Marjorie claimed my grandfather signed it 2 months before he died. I got his hospital records, slipped into a coma 3 days before the document was signed. A man in a coma can't sign his name. The notary? Patricia Langford, secretary of the HOA. Marjorie's right hand. I called her. Recorded the conversation. She swore she watched my grandfather sign in person. I asked how he managed that from a hospital bed while unconscious. The line went dead. In one phone call, she admitted to notary fraud. All on tape. That was the domino. I brought everything to the FBI: documents, recordings, timelines. They dug in. Fast. Found 3 more cases: elderly owners, comas, deaths, HOA fees ballooned, properties flipped through fake loans. Always the same notary. Always routed through the Ridgewood HOA. When the day came for the big show, I sat in the back of the community hall. Marjorie, still in that red blazer, holding court. She presented a fresh agreement, claiming my grandfather signed off on the fees a year after his death. I stood and asked her to read the date. October 15th. Ma'am, my grandfather died last November. How'd he sign anything nearly a year later? The whole room froze. The FBI stepped in, cuffed Marjorie, read her rights in front of her kingdom. No shouting, no resistance. The crowd watched their queen walk out, head down, hands behind her back. Her notary, Patricia, went too. My supervisor lost her career, banned from banking. The bank paid a hefty fine. Every victim saw justice. Every property restored. But justice isn't a party. I got the land back, but it was battered, fences down, equipment gone, soil tired. Restoring it would take time and money. I walked those fields alone, feeling the weight of 4 generations. Realizing justice just means putting things right, not erasing all the scars. In the end, I didn't take the bank's promotion. Couldn't stomach working for folks who'd bury me to avoid a mess. Instead, I set up a trust lease the land to young farmers who'd treat it right, the way my grandfather wanted. No banks, no development, just good dirt staying in honest hands. If there's a lesson here, it's this: sometimes, the people you trust most will gamble your legacy for their own comfort. And sometimes, justice doesn't show up in the form of revenge, but in the quiet restoration of what was stolen, one fence post, one handshake, one hard conversation at a time. That little girl running across my field, picking up a handful of earth and laughing, that's what endures. That's the win. So here's my question for you. What would you do if you were in my shoes? Back down to save yourself? Or stand up and risk everything for what's right? Where's the line between justice and vengeance, between protecting what's yours and letting go? Drop your thoughts below, or share your own HOA horror story. Because out here, the fight for what's right is never just about land. It's about not letting the wrong people write the ending to your story.